everybody. Welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. Today's topic is 5 keys to heal from trauma. 5 keys to heal from trauma. Now, we're going to dive right into this letter, and let's see what she says. And she entitles her letter, "Is it possible for me to have a new life?" She says, "I am really needing some help and need to work through my past trauma. I have severe anxiety, fears, and PTSD. I had a fairly normal childhood up until the age 7 years old when I was raped by my older cousin, who was my babysitter the night that my parental grandmother died. I didn't tell my parents that night because my dad was crying. I waited until after my parents had the sex talk when I was around 9 years old. An older cousin got pregnant at 14, so they had to talk with all of us kids. It was kind of late in the day by then, right? I didn't tell my parents about the rape right away until he tried again that night. I went to my parents' room and told them that he was touching me. I really didn't know what rape was at that time. They laughed it off and told me to go back to bed. I felt betrayed and disappointed in my parents. I made a decision that night that I have to protect myself. I was an overweight child. At 10 years old, I decided that I was going to start exercising and eating better. I completely transformed my appearance and became athletic. At 9 years old, my parents joined a cult-like church. Uh-oh. I know that was bad news. Which also traumatized me. I still have nightmares about it at age 45. I would not talk much for years. I would not even eat dinner after school. Instead, I would stay in my room for hours studying and reading everything I could to become smarter. I wanted to be like the smart kids at school. I enrolled myself in several extracurricular activities in school and groups as well, such as my high school girls club, sort of like a sorority for high school girls. They took us to cultural events, taught us etiquette, and taught us about workforce. I met a guy who happened to be the basketball star. I wasn't aware that he was an athlete when I first met him. He was on the cover of the Sunday newspaper every week. He secretly wrote his phone number and address in my planner when I wasn't looking. We hit it off and became a couple a year later. We got married my senior year in college. That's when the hell started. I found out he was extremely abusive and not the person I thought he was. He sabotaged all my senior papers, etc. I didn't graduate. We had a daughter. I found solace in a domestic violence shelter. In between that time, my mom lied to the whole family by saying that I assaulted her when she actually held me against my will. And I got away at 25 years old. My 5-year-old saw the whole thing. I was talking to my mom about my being abused, and she got upset and said that I was blaming her because she wasn't watching you. You see? So she felt blamed for that. I was at her home. She called the police and said that I wouldn't leave. When I tried to leave, she held me down. That's when I broke free, moving on at the domestic violence shelter. I met another abuser, the case manager. She was a lesbian who sexually violated me and threatened my life if I told. My husband died 10 years after. I developed PTSD and have since been hospitalized. While suffering with my illness, I had to fight my own mom in court for my oldest daughter for 2 years. I didn't want my daughter with her because my parents never protected me from sexual abuse, and my mom was extremely abusive to me. I could be in my deathbed and my mom wouldn't show up. I have been alienated from my entire family. My daughter ended up with me 1.5 years later. My mom and my siblings have nothing to do with me. My dad died from cancer in 2016. He never protected or spoke up for me when he was alive. I met a guy 3 years after my husband passed. He had 2 children. Life was hell. We stayed together for 7 years. I finally got the courage to leave. I met another guy and we courted for 2 years. It was not perfect, but it was the best relationship I ever had. He was kind, supportive, hardworking, my best friend. I had so many problems that I think he couldn't bear it anymore, so he walked away. Today, despite my illness and age, I want a better life. I plan to get back in shape and take care of my health. Finish my education, currently back in college at the university full-time. I want a career in legislation. I'm a life coach. I recently received a certificate and want to become a public speaker. I need help with my fear, PTSD, anxiety, developing healthy relationships. I am driven to succeed, but these things are holding me back tremendously. I am completely emotionally and mentally paralyzed. I want to have a vision, mission, and purpose for my life, and a husband to share fulfilled, happy life with. Do you think it's too late for me? No, it's not too late, but you need to heal from the trauma before you do anything else. Before you try to mentor anybody, before you try to get involved in another relationship, you need to heal yourself from this trauma. And one way to heal your trauma is to understand the nature of the trauma. Look at your source of pain. From your letter, it looks like your source of pain was from growing up with your parents. That's where the source really came from. And plus, you were raped while your parents did not protect you at all from that. You have to heal from that. You have to get that energy out of you. That's why you attracted these negative energies back into your life, because you never healed from it. All right. You need to build strength through your awareness of the trauma. And during your healing process, you must forgive. You must forgive yourself. You must forgive others that hurt you. But you need to get on your spiritual path for this healing. Because on your spiritual path, it will show this situation to you clearly, so you can clearly be aware of the trauma that you have endured and why this trauma happened to you. And only on your spiritual path can this be revealed to you. Research information for growth and support. There is information out there that can help you with healing trauma. I do have a book that I can recommend to you. And this is The Keys to Healing from Trauma. And it's a simple guide to process pain and get your life back. This is a wonderful book. And I'll put the link. And it's by Pepper Pratt, a PhD. And I'll leave a link in the description where you can get this book and read it during your spare time. It is a very powerful read and will help you to come to terms with your trauma. So I will leave a link in the description if you're interested where you can purchase this book. Now, the other thing is to reframe your perspective. And see, all of this comes once you get on your spiritual path and it opens it up to you. You'll gain a different perspective of why these things happen to you. and then you'll be able to move on from trauma. Now, for those of you who don't know how to start your spiritual journey, in the description at the bottom, I do have a link how I started my spiritual journey, because I too overcame trauma in my life, but I did it on my spiritual path. Okay. And it showed all of the trauma that happened to me, and it explained why these things happened to me, and it brought me out of it through forgiveness, appreciation, and gratitude. And all of these are healing energies. So you can have a better life, but you need to love yourself and believe in yourself. And you need to start your spiritual awakening. Your spiritual awakening. And what that means is to be quiet with yourself. Seek divine strength. And your intuition will kick in and guide you in the right direction for healing. I hope you understand the message today, and I really hope that it helps someone. The 5 keys to healing trauma: to look at your source of pain, understand the nature of the trauma, build strength around the awareness of what has happened to you, forgive yourself and others, be in gratitude and appreciation for your life, reframe your perspective about what happened to you, and realize that hurt people hurt other people. So you want to come out of that hurt so you don't continue to hurt other people. And lastly, move beyond trauma. Through your spiritual enlightenment, it will make you strong, confident, loving, and you rise above any trauma that has happened in your life, because you will see it in a different perspective and you can understand it, why it happened to you, and move on from that. I hope you understand the message today, and I really hope that it helps someone. Now, those of you who may have a question that you'd like for me to answer, my email address is in the description. And if you're looking for today's affirmation, the link is also in the description. I want to thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for your comments and your letters. And a very special thank you to those that leave a donation. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best and happiness. And I really hope to see you next time.